Hello and welcome to Spurs Kings TV. It is Monday. You know what time it is. It's time for the Monday pitch. As per usual, 2 episodes left today and next week, and the season is finished. However, there's so much to talk about that's happened this weekend. VAR was definitely in full flow considering there's nothing to play for and other things obviously to talk about. But first of all, let's bring out the usual panel. First of all, Mitch, you well?
Yes, very good, bro. How are you?
Uh, good as. At least we're in a final,
Yeah,
top
yeah.
six and all.
Not sure I agree with this nothing to play for stuff. There's some of us are trying to get Champions League football out here.
Oh mate, you lot have got it, man. I won't even worry. Forest are just doing everyone's job for them.
Yeah, to be fair, I did say a while ago. I've been saying since November time that they will fall off, and
Mate,
here it is.
look, you've got to beat Arsenal. Well, you don't have to beat Arsenal, but it'd be nice if you did.
Hey, I'm gonna be on smoke if we beat Arsenal this weekend. The next week I'm gonna be unbearable. I'm not even gonna lie.
They're so lucky that Man City are playing the FA Cup this weekend. Otherwise, it could be two teams going above them. But yeah. Anyway, you're a bit of a legend now, isn't it? Now that you're on the terrace.
Hey, it all started from here though, so don't worry. I'll never
don't,
forget
don't,
about you guys.
don't give me that crap. Now you met Terry, you were like, who are you lot?
Nah, you and Ash are the OGs, man.
Mate, they want Ash on there too, mate. Trust me. Anyway, let's get on to the next one. Feeling a bit happy with himself. He's actually the reason why we're now 17th. It's about time you put us there.
Yeah, mate, I got a nosebleed. We're getting dizzy heights at the minute for West Ham this year. Fucking hell.
Were Man United that bad or were you like that impressive?
Mm, probably an uneasy ground somewhere in between. Man United were poor, but
We're
a
in
better
that work
players
one.
played well. Kudus, Suchek, and Wan-Bissaka
Well,
played well.
doing bits for you though, to be honest. Yes.
Really is, and it's even funny because it happened against the side that sold him for £15 million because apparently their fullbacks are better. Not quite McTomadonna or whatever they're calling him in Napoli, but it's good enough for me. It's almost like the clubs are rotten, not the players.
Quick question for you then. West
Yeah.
Ham next season. Expectations.
Uh, Realistically, between 10th and 15th
Do you
is
think
what I would aim for.
is what you're aiming for? Do you expect that? Is that what Graham Potter was brought in for? Do you expect a
Nah,
European push?
I'd want a Europe. I'm more realistic than most. A lot will expect it. I'd want it, but to be honest, I think there's a lot more teams further down the cycle. I mean, let's say if you boys win the cup, you get in the Champions League. In theory, you'd have more an investment. So you're going to bring
Sorry,
in
sorry.
Whoa,
Say that one
whoa,
again.
whoa,
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 whoa, hold
whoa.
on, Stocky. Stocky, hold
Levian investment.
on. What are
No,
you talking about?
you'd have to get some players in. You couldn't put that squad into a Champions League, could you?
Oh, but Daniel Levy would think that it was completely the manager's fault and not the players as well.
Oh,
injuries. Don't forget injuries. There'll be less
And
injuries next year.
uh,
They'll be better off.
spotlight's already in investment. Ha ha ha.
mate,
Hey,
do you
Matt,
forget who we
I'm,
support?
I'm being optimistic for you. I can't
Thanks.
always be nasty about you. You're my
Well,
friends.
yeah, but then why lie? And then speaking of, I don't know if he's happy or sad at the moment, but Chris.
Always happy. When am I not happy? Oh no, actually, that is true. I'm not happy quite a lot. It is fair.
So, where are you on the whole final? And
Where am I? I'm on the way to Bilbao, mate. I'm going, so that's where I am. But I was just thinking, what an absolute mug Mitch is. Like, oh, trying to get in the Champions League through the league. Like, no, it's all about finishing 17th and getting to the Champions League. That's right.
yeah, we doing that here, Mitch.
Hey, I'm a unique guy. I would actually quite like the unique way that you're qualifying for the Champions League. To be honest,
Look, now that you
it's
won the cup,
niche.
just take the Europa League route, and then next year just fuck off the league, and then win another trophy, and you're in.
I actually would have took Europa League this year, but now we're in the spot for Champions League. We have to get it.
I'd have to say, I tell you now, I think this season's opened up a lot of Spurs fans' eyes when we always said, I'd finish 17th and won a trophy. But it's not as great as we thought it might be.
We haven't done it yet. We might trophy, right?
Well, this is the thing. You think we're going into next Wednesday, and it's completely, we don't know what outcome's going to happen. But yet we're all sitting there going, oh, crap. But it's Manchester, like, if we could have asked for any team to play, it would be Manchester United right now.
I don't know. I'm not so sure, but
What's your doubts?
Hmm?
What's your doubts?
Is that because the
What
teams who have actually been relegated from the league have took points off you this season, and Man United haven't?
Yeah, well, my doubts are that I've been watching Tottenham play all season. That's my main doubt.
Yeah, but so Man United have been just as bad.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it's going to be the shittest final in the ever, isn't it? Really, either that or it'll be an absolute classic because we're both so bad. It'll be like 8-8 or something.
As Stocky said last night, it'll be 2-1 on pens after a 0-0
that's
draw.
Oh,
And that's in sudden death penalties.
Each, yeah.
Sudden death penalties, it's 2-1.
Right, so where do you boys see it? Like, what, like on a realistic view? Right, I know I'm going off topic, but obviously it's a big game for us. But Manchester United and Spurs are crap. Where do you boys both see that final going? As neutrals, I know Stocky obviously.
What? As in, who's going to win?
Yeah, and you lot want Spurs to win because you hate Man United.
I'd prefer Spurs to win, but Man United is just jammy like that, man. They're just that jammy side. They just seem to get it done, regardless of how crap they are. They get the job done. Like even the season they beat us in the League Cup final, they weren't great and they got it done. Last season they weren't great. They beat Man City to win the FA Cup. That's just what Man United do. They win trophies.
And that's the thing. I said that yesterday. I said the only thing that worries me about Manchester United, and Chris might agree or might not, it's not the fact of Bruno Fernandes is that these players might suddenly turn up. It's the fact that they've played 2 finals in 2 years that no one really expected them to win, and they went and got it over the line. And this will be their 3rd one in the 3rd year. They know how to do it. Where our players, apart from Romero winning the World Cup, most of our players have not been through this. And Maddison's not around either. So, and he's won the FA Cup, so it'd be interesting. But apart from that, if it came to an 11-11, if Spurs have a good day, we'll beat them. We're better than them. But Man United haven't lost in the Europa League for me.
Yeah, I would say if it was any other occasion, I'd be going Tottenham win.
Yeah,
because it's a cup final.
Yeah.
I just can't see past Man United.
If it was the semi-final, I think we'd beat them.
Yeah, same. 2-legged semi-final, you're through. Like, but
totally agree.
One-off final game is different. It's a completely different kettle of fish, really.
But it's written in the stars for Ange, isn't it?
I mean, for him, on a personal note, like I agree with like everyone else. He's terrible, but would he just have the best fuck you moment if he gets that trophy? There's a lot of people who have got to hold it.
I'll take it,
myself included. I laughed.
He can cup his ear, whatever he wants. I'll take it. He can be as horrible as he wants. I'll take anything. If he brings me that trophy that I thought he wouldn't get,
to a degree, he's earned it. So fair enough.
Yeah.
That is the ultimate "I told you so" moment, isn't it? I'd actually be quite envious of it, as it would be such a good "I told you so" moment.
And
it's very big though, right? He also told us at the start of the season that we'd be in a title race, and we're 17th. So let's not get too into what.
He did say what title. He said what wins or something.
And he also said, as recently as about 2 months ago, we'll be outstanding when the players come back from injury.
Outstandingly bad.
Yeah.
Hey, we were good against Frankfurt. Oh wait, we were good against Bodo twice.
Well, I mean, we were all right against Bodo. Yeah, I wouldn't say we were brilliant, but yeah, we got through.
Frankfurt away, we were brilliant. Man. I thought we were really good against. I thought we held our own, considering.
Yeah, we actually played without stupid tactics for a change. So,
hey.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm just going for the party, and I expect us to lose. That's been my default Tottenham approach over the years. Just expect the worst, and anything better than that is a bonus, isn't it?
So let's get on to VAR. VAR. Let's get into it. There was quite a lot that happened this weekend. I was quite surprised and quite some interesting takes. But first of all, oh crap, where's everything gone? There we go. Collins. No foul was given. I can't remember the player who had his like completely rugby tackled him. Should this have been given as a penalty, Stocky?
Absolutely. Like for me, it's nailed on penalty. What was funny though, this game was just like paid homage to Roman Greco wrestling. It was the whole game. There was
Yeah,
so many appeals.
I could have picked out any incident. That is how
Yeah,
much it was. Yeah,
maybe that's. I'm not. I'm not saying they necessarily think this, but maybe they thought, well, we haven't give any of the others. If we give this now, we can open a right can of
kind of.
worms.
Yeah,
Like just in the human element, I'm not saying they do, but that is nailed on penalty for me. What did they say? What was the official line? Because I know you check the. Sometimes you check the Twitter account. Sometimes they say it's mutual holding is used a lot on Match of the Day for that game. That's just a nailed on penalty. That's a gore. That's
It's a
WrestleMania.
gore. Yeah, you took the words out of my. That was going to be my first words when it came to me. It's a good gore at that. It's not even like a decent. Like, you get a free count off that one.
Yeah.
Richie, want to
Yeah,
step in?
pretty much got to echo what Stocks has said. To be fair, like there was so when I saw we was going to be talking about this incident, I watched through the highlights again and was like, "That's not the one he said. That's not the one he said. Is it that one?" Like, I just looking through trying to figure out which one we was going to talk about.
Well,
There was one in like the first minute, and I was like, "Then there's two different players. Like what? What is
the
going
worst thing is I was going to pick the first one, but because I think it went back out for the corner and then Shard scored from it, I thought, well, it didn't have no impact. Let me go for the one that basically could put Brentford outside. And it was this one was probably the one I thought, out of everything that wasn't given, this is probably the most blatant one. And I forgot his name, Tizanabi, whatever his name is, just completely, he's all round him. And
It's crazy.
it
But
is
then if
crazy.
you give players leeway, they're going to try and take a little bit more, aren't they? So if they realise they're getting away with something, they're going to try and get away with a little bit more. It's just human nature, isn't it?
Yeah.
And football players are great for stuff like that.
But yeah, because the first incident that happened, I think the problem is that the corner hadn't been taken yet.
Yeah.
So that's why they couldn't give the penalty. But I think the corner had been taken for this one, and it's just. But there was so much going on. I think he could have probably given a free kick the other way in other instances in the box, and he probably could have given a penalty for this. It was just absolute madness. But I did think it was a penalty, and I'm very surprised it wasn't given.
Yeah, and I'm shocked at how many people I saw from both Ipswich and Brentford fans saying, "Well, he's given yellow cards. Why isn't he given a free kick or a pen?" And it's like, well, the ball's not in play. You don't then completely change what's happening in the game because the ball's not in play. You just leave it where it is, give your cards, and carry on.
I'm assuming that because I remember seeing the incident, but I can't remember now. I'm assuming that Collins had hold of him first for them to be given the reason they gave.
I think initially it was a little
both?
bit of a cuddle, and then Collins has actually tried to break away, and Twanzabi's just held on.
That possibly makes
for
more
dear
sense
life.
then. Yeah, to why they've gone with what they've gone with, but yeah, it's just difficult. Chris.
Yeah, I think that was the line, that there was offences by both players, and the Brentford player, I think, possibly slightly less obvious than the Ipswich guy, but it also came first. He's actually got his hand over the very top of the Ipswich player's head, and then he kind of tries to break away, and the Ipswich player sort of wrestles him to the ground. So I can only think that's why it's not been given. Yeah, it's a very unusual position for the Brentford player's arm. It's literally right over the top of his head, and his arm's kind of in his face. So that has sort of impacted the Ipswich player's ability to play the ball, which then does definitely turn into a foul. But that must be what they've looked at, because if you look at the Ipswich player's actions, forget the first bit and just look at the pulling there, that's definitely a foul, right? So, yeah, I think they must have gone with this kind of mutual. It's not quite mutual holding, but there's sort of offences by both players, really. So that's the only reason they could have saved him, really.
All right, next one. Danny Welbeck puts the ball in the back of the net. Minter looks like he attempts to go for the ball, or probably does attempt to go for the ball, and it goes straight in, but Minter doesn't touch it. Should this have been given as a goal?
Do you need some glasses, Mitch?
No. I'm good.
Make this figure look. There you go. He's offside. He's definitely offside. But the key action here was: do you think there's enough of him going towards the ball to think it's put the keeper off?
To be honest, I thought it was a good spot from the linesman initially to see, because you can totally understand why he's give it offside, because he thinks he's making an attempt to play the ball. So absolutely no qualms. And then first of all, I was like, oh, he's nowhere near it. You know, the camera angle they give you on the telly. I was like, oh, that's not really much in it. And I thought, oh, well, he's gone to play the ball, so that's probably why they're giving it offside. So yeah, I think it's fair enough. And initially, I think it's a half decent spot from the linesman, because he's got no idea of the angles from where he's standing.
I'll give you that.
How close he is to touching it.
Do you know what? I had a different decision, but what you just actually said made sense. Because I was like, he hasn't made an attempt. He's just run towards it, and the goalkeeper still has vision of it. It's like it's gone past him by the time he tries to make an attempt, and the goalkeeper's already on his way.
Yeah.
But I do get why, actually, what you're saying, that makes more sense. And actually, it's one of those when you actually look at it from a different angle. Because I had to go to another angle and go, okay, maybe. But if it was given, would you have argued against it?
Oh, if it was given against me?
Yeah. Would you have argued against it if it was given, say it went in and obviously the linesman didn't get involved, would you have?
It would have been hard, I think. I'm not really sure, because it's quite an odd instance. How's a professional player just trying to swing at a ball once it's gone past him?
Because if he doesn't actually make any, if he runs towards the ball but doesn't actually make the swing and it goes in, it's probably a goal, right?
I think so. I'm sure Chris can tie us up on that.
I think his positioning where he's positioned kind of makes him be interfering either way, because as a goalkeeper with that coming in, you've got to try and anticipate. So even if he doesn't make an attempt for the ball, you're still going to try and anticipate the fact that he could get a touch on it.
Yeah, but if he doesn't and he doesn't make an attempt, that's down to the goalkeeper whether he makes that movement or not.
I don't think he doesn't have to make an attempt for him to be interfering in my mind on this one.
Yeah, but if he doesn't make the attempt, it's a clear goal. I think the reason they gave was because he makes and it's making the attempt that is the bit they said. And then they have to find out whether he's offside when that ball was played forward, which he was.
Yeah. But as much as he's not properly obstructing the goalie's view, he's sort of making the goalie have to then make a decision rather than just focusing on making the save.
Yeah, but the goalkeeper's got to go that way anyway, because that's where the ball went. There's no.
Yeah, but where Minter's there, if he gets anything on it, the ball's going somewhere completely different. So the goalkeeper's then got to try and make a judgment for that. So is that not interfering the play?
No, because he's already got the goalkeeper's ready to make the decision before Minter's made the attempt. And I do get what you're saying, because Minter's in the offside position, he's still got to make and anticipate what Minter's going to do. He doesn't know he's offside at the time.
Yeah,
but he goes to the right, and he's already made the decision. I think because if Minter doesn't then go and attempt to strike the ball, do they give the goal? I don't know. I actually don't know the ruling on this one. But I think they would give the goal.
Yeah. Looking at it again, I can't see how he's not, regardless of whether he chucks a leg at it. Either way, I can't see how he's not given offside there.
Chris?
Yeah, as the weeks go by, I'm liking Mitch more and more. I think I might just retire for next season. Let Mitch. I think there's two slightly. You're talking about the right things, but the fact that he makes an attempt for the ball just makes it black and white that you've got to penalise him for it. So I don't really think there's any doubt about it. The valid conversation, though, is if he's in an offside position, if it goes by him and he's near enough to play the ball but makes no attempt for it, then what happens?
Yeah,
I think we've seen a few precedents set really this season where that would be given offside, because, as Mitch is saying, really, if you're a goalkeeper, you can't really commit yourself because you're thinking, is he going to play the ball or not? where I think there's a bit of an inconsistency in the law doesn't explicitly say that. I mean, it does say about interfering with an opponent, but then that becomes a bit grey. It's super clear that if you're challenging for the ball, you're definitely interfering with the opponent. So, in fact, let me roll this back to the absolutes of the offside law. So, being in an offside position is not an offence. You commit an offence by doing one of three things: interfering with play, which is basically touching the ball. I'll go to the third one next, which is what they call gaining an advantage. But gaining an advantage is not just what it sounds like. Gaining an advantage is when you're in an offside position and someone shoots and it then rebounds to you from the post or from a defender. You're in an offside position when the first shot came in. That's gaining an advantage. And then the other one is interfering with an opponent. Like this one, he's trying to play the ball. It's black and white. The law doesn't really allow for interfering with an opponent's thought process. So if you don't play the ball, usually I'd expect it not to be penalised. But what we've seen, I think, in my opinion, over this season, the last couple of seasons, is perhaps a difference in threshold for the goalkeeper. So there has been a few, and I certainly one that was a Man City game, or I think it might have been a West Ham game as well, where the players stood to the one side of the keeper and he's deemed to just be distracting the goalkeeper from his ability to save the ball. And we've seen those given consistently as offside, so I would expect it to be given. But yet, if it's a defender, the similar sort of scenario appears not to be being given. So I'd argue there's a bit of an inconsistency there. But this one, should it be penalised? 100%. This one's fairly black and white. Had he not tried to play the ball, I think it would have still been penalised. But it certainly would have been much more up for debate if he hadn't have made that attempt.
Before we roll into the next one, can I ask you something, Chris? Have you seen the Cunha penalty incident?
Yeah.
Do you feel that's one where double jeopardy could have come into play?
I mean, it did in the sense of he wasn't sent off. It's a simple one, really. About the question is simple, and then the answer to the question is just an opinion, right? So the question is he making an attempt for the ball or not?
Yeah.
I watched it and thought probably on the balance of probabilities he did. And unless I think you're really sure, like if it's a pullback, you can't possibly be playing the ball, right? So I think if you're trying to make some sort of challenge, usually with your legs, usually you get away with that, and it's deemed to be an attempt at the ball. I thought it was an attempt at the ball, but I can see an argument as to people saying it wasn't. Yeah. So it's just it's one of those grey areas that might go a different way on a different day with a different ref.
Yeah, I was in the boat of I didn't feel he was playing for the ball, but he was very clever with the way that he brought it down to make it look like he was.
What was the one I saw the other day? I can't remember the game, so if I just describe it, you guys might remember. It might have been a playoff game. It was a playoff game. He got sent off in a playoff game early on. He got sent off for a very similar incident, but he started to pull the player. And as he pulled the player, was it in a Coventry game? As he pulled the player, he then tried to play the ball and fouled him with his legs as well, but the ref sent him off. I'm trying to remember who it was. The manager went mental saying this referee always causes us problems, but the ref was correct. He grabbed him first. And if you're grabbing him, you're not playing the ball, are you? So, that was definitely a playoff game. I don't know if anyone...
Notts County, AFC Wimbledon? No, that's late on that one.
No, it might have been... didn't Bristol get someone sent off?
Bristol, Bristol, Sheffield United. Yeah, there was a big thing around that.
Yeah, sorry.
I think it was that one, yeah. And he I just thought it was funny. He came out and criticised the ref, and I thought, it's a perfectly correct decision, though.
Speaking of Sheffield United and Bristol, the Sheffield United are winning 3-0 at the moment, so 6-0, so they could be coming back up.
Yeah, it's just finished, actually, so yeah, they'll go to Wembley. I'm hoping... I got a couple of Coventry mates, so I'm hoping that they manage to do it.
Well, there was my outside shout of Bristol being the only team that's not been in the Prem.
Yeah. No new club.
That would have been nice.
We'll talk about the playoffs afterwards, actually. Next incident, which Stocky missed because they didn't show on Match of the Day, but because they wanted to get rid of this game as quickly as possible. But Kevin De Bruyne makes a really, really late challenge. Now I can't remember who it was on. And actually, funny enough, no one really spoke about this, but this did get referred to VAR. Mitch, I'll start with you. Should De Bruyne have been sent off for this because it was late, reckless, out of control?
I think he's just about low enough to get away with it. I think he's in control of his body, and his foot's not high enough for it to be a red card for me. Knowing how De Bruyne is, and Stocky, I've probably stealing one of Stocky's points here because he said it before we came on. It looks like he's giving one back here rather than like he's had a couple of digs throughout the game, and he's saw an opportunity to leave one on him, but he's done it in a way where he hasn't caught him too high and he hasn't gone flying in. So I think it's just about right and him not being sent off.
Stocky?
Yeah, I'm much the same. And do you know what? When I actually found it, thank you for that, Marlon. I didn't even realise the ref was so close, and he's got like the perfect angle.
Yeah, you can see him there, aren't you? He's got the perfect view.
I think what changed it, because maybe if the ball had stopped, he might have got a booking for that. But I think Southampton went away and got on the break, so it may have just sort of slipped past. Yeah, like Mitch, he's just left it on him. He's lucky not to be booked. I'd say that's a yellow card because he still caught him quite obviously. Maybe not a red.
I think his reputation is the reason why he hasn't got booked or sent off. I thought this was a red card.
Oh, is this the Kevin Bruyne goodbye tour?
Yeah.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. To be fair, that could come into play. I wouldn't say it's his reputation. I would say that it's more that he's on his farewell tour because he's. I would say that most people in football know Kevin De Bruyne is a bit of a shitbag when he wants to be.
Yeah. And this was it was a part of the game where I can't remember what happened. It was ding donging about, and it wasn't that long into the second half, and it was a very poor challenge.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was in control of it, and I think you might actually Stocky might. I think you're right. He was trying to leave one on him, but I still think it was. I thought it was a red card.
He got a few fouls during the game, like in the first half against him, and maybe he just saw off a chance to just put one back.
The thing was, I thought it was a red card before it was slowed down. So like slowing down, I thought slowing it down made him get away with it a little bit more because it doesn't look as bad as it does when you first see it. But the fact that the ref's there, I thought it was a red card, but you lot both think it's yellow, so which he didn't even get booked for. Chris.
Yeah, just pick up a couple of points in the discussion. First, one really picky point on what you said, Marlon, which is this got referred to VAR. Things don't get referred to VAR. They're just sitting there reviewing everything as it happens, right? So that's one point. And on the distance of the ref, I think he is probably about the perfect distance, but I just wanted to raise as a referee, there have been studies on this actually, that the perfect viewing distance usually is about 10 yards away. So any closer than that is actually a bad position because things just happen right in front of you and you need some distance to actually appreciate the full picture of what's happening. If it happens right in front of you, it's like too quick. You can't take in what's going on. But I do agree. I think the ref's distance there is maybe a bit nearer than 10 yards, but that's a good distance to judge that challenge, I think. If he was much nearer, I think he'd struggle. But on the challenge itself, I think it lacks a few things to be a red card, to be honest. We've seen, I think, relatively consistently through the season that where they are sort of lower than the ankle, they've tended not to be red cards. Where they're above the ankle, that certainly makes it worse. I think it's very much a one-footed challenge, which you can see from the standing position of him there. That he's not dived in two-footed, and because it is more of a standing start than a running start, it also lacks kind of any force really. So it's more akin, slightly worse, but it's more akin to what we see of when players are a bit late and stand on a player's foot. It's very similar to that, maybe just a little bit worse than that. But I don't think it's definitely a yellow card, in my opinion, but I don't think it's worthy of a red. The only other thing I'd say as well, I know football fans will never believe this, but just I can only speak from my experience as a referee and many, many conversations with referees over the years. I genuinely don't think that anyone really has time to consciously factor in any of the stuff you guys were saying. It's Kevin De Bruyne and, he's leaving City. He's not that type of player. You don't have the time to think about that. You just see something happen and you make a snap judgment on it. Two things I concede, though, is one, I'm not ruling out there could be some subconscious thing at play, maybe. I just don't think any referee has that conscious thought process. And the other thing I would say is, and whether you guys are going to consider this judging a player differently, I'm going to argue it's not. But when I went into games, I'd do my best, a lot harder at the level I'm at because you don't get all the TV coverage, but I'd do my best to understand before the game what players are more likely to make challenges like that. Not because I want to prejudge them, because I want to know when a player is more likely to make a position like that. I want that to be in my head, so I'm getting in a better position to see it. So I do want to know what type of players they are, if they're more likely to make these challenges or not. I would hope that doesn't influence my actual decision making on what happens. It will influence my preparation and how I actually referee the game a little bit, and how, like some players, for example, the ones that are really hard work, I'd try and know that, and then I'd try and make more of an effort to stay close to them. Some players I'd try. You need to understand different players as well. Some players I'd try and almost coach through the game from a refereeing perspective. Like, you're doing really well, mate. Make sure you don't go in too late. All that constant talking to them all the time, coaching them through, because I don't want them to make a bad challenge to send them off. I want to avoid that. And that's the preparation you've got to put in to understand who needs that, who doesn't need that. Whether that then influences you subconsciously if they do make a bad challenge, that's open for conjecture, right? We're talking about subconscious, so I can't possibly comment on it. I don't think consciously it does, but there you go.
Sod you lot. All right, Chris, your one. So I had to put the two photos in, and I couldn't be bothered to put it on the second screen. But the reason why I had to put the two photos in was because I had to show you where the ball had left Traore's foot before it hit is it Mikalenko? I forgot.
Mikalenko, yeah.
Yeah, Mikalenko's hand. So it was given. No, it wasn't given as a penalty. VAR then recommended for the referee to go to the monitor and go and recommend. He recommended a penalty and recommended handball, but the referee went to the monitor and stuck with his decision of no penalty. Stocky, was he right to go with that decision?
From a referee's point of view, like, as he's given a decision and he's looked at it, if he still sticks by it, I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, I did find it interesting when I first saw it, and they've gone, "Oh, that would have been a harsh penalty." I'm like, I've seen him given. Why? Why would it have been a harsh penalty?
Because of how close he is.
Yeah, I mean, I weren't too opinionated in it. If he give it, I would have been fair enough, but he decided not to.
The thing is, in this decision, I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Say there was something riding on. Say this was Everton's relegation riding on this. They're 3-1 up.
Oh yeah.
Fulham needed Europa League, which I kind of feel like they're kind of now slipping away from.
Yeah,
but say it was an important game. Does this decision become more highlighted?
I think so. But generally, from the punditry I've seen afterwards, they're like, "Oh yeah, it's a great decision." Moyes was going, "It was never a penalty," and I was like, I don't necessarily agree. I mean, his arm's not in an outlandish position. I would say that.
Is it one of those though? Just quickly, is it one of those? Because the reason why I'm going to use this as an example is it one of those where in the European football, this was the Champions League game, this would be given.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
Because look, I have to refer to the Lewis Skelly one. That's why. I'm not being favourable to that. I'm not going to be harsh. When I first saw it against Lewis Skelly, I was like, if that was the Premier League, that ain't given.
Yeah. I think we've said that quite a few times. This season, haven't we?
Yeah.
And I try and watch as much European football as I can, so that's why I'm a bit like, I've seen him given. So, but yeah, I would have been shocked if the referee changed his mind, but I'm quite pleased that he stuck with his decision.
Is it one of them things that needs to happen more?
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if they actually get it wrong, we just need to see them stick with what.
No, it's the subjective ones that it just feels like if they get sent to the screen, it's going the other way than the on-field decision. And even some of the ones that have a little bit of subjectivity to them, where you have the debate sort of 50-50, where some people say, yeah, I agree with it, no, I don't, then I feel that we should see more of the refs sticking with what they initially said, to be honest.
Yeah. No,
unless it is a case that they've gone, right, I've seen this, and VAR actually turn around and go, do you know what?
Yeah, it'd be interesting
This
to
has
know what
actually
conversation
happened, and
they
then
had.
they see something extra.
look, this is definitely going to be on Howard Webb's because I want to hear the conversation, because it'd be very interesting to see what the referee had seen to why he went, no, this is slightly different. This is what I've seen, and then the VAR's gone, well, whoever it was, VAR ref's gone, okay, blah blah blah, and then moved on. But like for them, brilliant. It's about time we had another one. It's taken a year, but
I actually don't think this is a pen. Like,
I didn't think it was a pen. That's why I didn't know what Stoggy was talking about.
yeah, I don't think this is a pen. Like, I know we've got a couple of favourite words on here, and silhouette is one of them. It's kind of outside of his body silhouette, but I would say this is a natural footballing position.
Yeah.
Like, he's
Yeah,
closing the ball down,
closing the ball down.
his arms come down because of the motion of his arm. He hasn't put his arm there to make himself bigger,
Because you can see, as you can see by the first picture.
Yeah. He hasn't put his arm towards the ball. Sometimes when you know someone's handballed it, it hits their arm and they quickly stick it behind their back because they know they're in trouble. Like, none of this stuff happened here. He's just in a running position and he's hit his arm. It's one of them unfortunate ones, but I just don't. I don't think it's a pen at all. I think he would have been really, really unlucky for it to be given against him.
Chris, go on.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the decision. I don't think it is a penalty. I think if you look at the first picture, if he holds his arm in that position and it hits his arm in that position, I'd expect a penalty to be given because, broadly speaking, there's a guidance which basically says if your arm's above shoulder height, there's no real justification for it. So I'd expect that to be given. But this one, he's running, so it's slightly away from his body, but with the distance and everything, I don't think it's a penalty. I'll give some praise to Darren England. Where I'm going to disagree with you guys is I don't think we should see referees stick to their decision more. And the reason why that is, the only reason currently they should be sent to the monitor is if it's so obvious that they've made a mistake. So the onus is on the VAR guy not to be sending them over for things that are too subjective. And if the VAR guy gets that right, we should expect to see 98%, I don't know, flicking a number out the air, of referees change their mind when they get there.
But the problem is,
this is a poor decision by the VAR guy.
But most of the time, this is the issue that we're seeing, though, that most of the decisions that they're mostly being sent for are not clear and obvious.
Exactly. So,
but they're not clear and obvious to us because we're seeing both situations with no commentary. So if we hear the commentary of what the ref thinks he's seen or what he's given because of what he's seen, and the VAR has said, actually, no, you've missed this. This is why we're sending you there. It makes it a much clearer picture, doesn't it?
It's subjective. And what doesn't help is what you guys said, which I would 100% agree with, that if that happens next Wednesday in the Man United Spurs Europa League final, it's being given as a penalty. I promise you it is given as a penalty. There's no question about it. Yeah. Because the tolerance in Europe, same set of laws, tolerance in Europe, totally different to the tolerance in the UK. And in fact, I'd say the tolerance in almost the entire of the rest of the world pretty much is very low for handballs, which is where I think actually, we hammer I don't, but a lot of people hammer the English refs a lot. This is one where I think we've got it much better than most of the rest of the world. It's not handball, is it?
No.
So, yeah, I don't think you can give it as a pen. The comment there where he says it's 2 yards, basically I agree, unless his arms are up here.
Yeah, I think what Mitchie said about the motion and the running motion was quite spot on.
But credit to Darren England. Let's give a referee some credit. Like, absolutely, to go there. Because you've got to put yourself in his headspace for a second. You're being sent there. You're only being sent because someone is in your ear going, I think you've got that badly wrong. So by the time you're even looking at it, you're thinking, Jesus, I've made a massive mistake. So
he's gone and looked at it and went, no, I didn't.
Yeah, looked at it and gone, that's still not a pen.
Exactly. And credit
what am I doing here?
He's not my favourite ref, Darren England. I think he makes quite a few mistakes, but credit where it's due, man. Just stick to that. Spot on.
Last one. Okay. 2 incidents. One in the evening game on Saturday, one in the early Sunday kickoff. One sent off, one wasn't sent off. Stocky, let's start with you because obviously it involves Mitchie's team and he's biased.
Whoa. Easy now.
True first.
Oh, yeah. this was interesting because I saw Mitch's comments about it before I saw the incident because I weren't watching the Chelsea game. I'll start with the Mings one first. I kept flip flopping between this when I watched it
I'm with you.
because
Yeah.
he gives it the old centre half glance
Yep.
and he's trying to block him out.
Yep.
He's still got his elbows hanging out there.
Yep.
I'm not saying he's trying to elbow him in the face, but his elbows. I think the difference here is Scott's running and he's running quite hard,
Mm-hmm.
and it's even worse. He's like fractured a cheekbone or something like that. I can't decide. I really struggle.
I was struggling with this.
Oh, good. I'm glad it weren't me because I'm like, you shouldn't have your elbow out there. Surely you can get your body across. It's almost lazy.
Okay, question for me and you then. If
Yeah.
Mings gets sent off, are we sitting here complaining? Because that's the
No.
question we have to ask ourselves.
No, I wouldn't complain about it.
So then it's a red card. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, nothing happened at all about it.
No.
Did it?
No.
It didn't even get.
No, I don't think he even got booked. I don't remember the incident. I just saw
Right.
it and was like, whoa, why has he not been sent off for that?
Yeah. But what's funny is when you go onto the Jackson one, he's tried to nudge the centre half and it's just so bad at it, he's elbowed in the face.
Well, that's where I think both incidents are quite similar.
Yeah. Like he's trying to get a nudge. I don't think he's trying because Jackson's give it the look, just see where he is. But he's gone in leading with the elbow. When Mings is trying to shield it, he's leaning in to try and nudge him, but done it so bad and elbowed him in the face. I can't argue with the Jackson red.
So for me, that's where I'm going. Actually, I look at both incidents, both red cards, or they both have to set precedents and they're both yellow. It can't be. They're both so similar in the sense of what the actions that are being caused. They both got to be red cards for me.
I'm leaning more that way.
Yeah, and that's why I asked the question to me and you because I was sitting there, I've been 50-50 about it all day, and everything you said exactly was going through my head. But the question that we both have to ask, like I said, have to ask ourselves is if it was given as a red, are we sitting there going, "Oh my god, he shouldn't have been sent off. It was harsh." This, that, and that. Well, probably not. Which makes me go, it's probably a red card then. It's a red card incident in my head. Possibly Chris will tell us something different, but both for me are red cards. Actually, Nicholas Jackson should have stayed on and Mings should have gone.
That's a good effort, but you're using the wrong bait there, Marlon.
Mate, they should have kept it 11 versus 11, because you lot were crap until that moment. You lot were crap until that moment, apparently.
Apparently, even after this moment, they were a much better team, created all the chances.
They were the better team.
And we were just wasting time the whole time. But the fact of the matter is, that's not true. Simple as that. We had much better chances in the first half and equally as good chances in the second half.
So, Jackson, what's the two incidents? Go on Mings first.
All right. So the only thing I disagree with you two on, and I know this probably doesn't come into anywhere in the law or the referee's thinking, is on the Mings one. If it was given, potentially it wouldn't have been overturned. But for me, the difference between these two situations, and I always use this as a sort of judgment when I'm looking at stuff like this, is the height of the players. So Nicholas Jackson's arm is small. Nicholas Jackson is smaller than Sven Botman. His elbow should not be in his face at any point in time.
It looks like he's about to jump.
No. It's just not. It's like if you're the shorter player, your arm, your elbow, none of that should be in the opposition player's face.
Heightis, mate. Heightis.
Simple as that. And this is why I give Mings a little bit of leeway here because he's a much taller man in this situation. And he's just gone to get his body across. And the Bournemouth players come in and caught one in the face. I don't think he's gone to do him. He might have done. But that's where the two decisions are different to me. And also the fact that Botman is planted and Jackson looks at him, turns, and just forearm smashes him in the face, to be fair. But I don't think they're that. I don't think they're that similar at all. I think Jackson's is clear as day. Mings, if it was given, may not have been overturned, but I don't think there's enough in it to then overturn it the other way either.
Chris, well, they didn't, did they? So
I've just seen Destiny said it depends who jumps first. In this situation, no one has jumped. None of these 4 players have jumped. Jackson has just run straight into Botman, and the Bournemouth players run into the back of Mings. No one's in the air. If he had actually jumped, a little bit more leeway, but he didn't actually jump. He just sort of ran into it. Only his right foot's off the floor. His left foot is still there. He's just ran into it.
Chris, talk to us, buddy.
I think Mitch needs to go last from now on. He's stealing all my lines.
Sorry, mate.
Look, you two, yeah. Because look, it's because one's Tottenham away, one's TFT now. They're too big for this stoppage. It's going to be me.
I was just going to give a big up to Ryan in the chat, having our little Black Country banter in the chat there. I'm from Wolverhampton, believe it or not. I'm not from Tottenham. You could say I was a Glory fan, but I supported Spurs because we lost the '87 Cup final. So I'm kind of like a failed Glory fan, supporting the losers. We've been losing ever since. So. Anyway, back to the point. I agree, Mitch, really. Just look at the Jackson one in isolation. It's just black and white, isn't it? There's no defence for Jackson at all. Multiple looks at the player, leads with his arm into his face. It's black and white. He's walking every day of the week. There's nothing in that from Jackson that is remotely a normal football action to me. Like the ball's not even, when he's making contact, the ball's not even in the immediate vicinity. Whereas I think Mings is different. I don't really agree with I've just looked at it again, that Mings has a look at him. I don't think he does, not nearly in the same way Jackson does. No. Mings might see him out the corner of his eye, but I think you can very successfully argue that Mings is just trying to get in front of him to shield the ball. And it's certainly more of a natural football action. I do kind of concede that had he been shown a red card, probably wouldn't have been overturned. But what that means for me is that you've got one that is absolutely black and white and is a red card 100% of the time. No debates about it. And you've got one that I don't think is a red card, but is more debatable. And there are decisions in football, we've discussed this a lot, right, where it's not definitively one thing or another. I look at that, I don't think it's a red card. If somebody wants to argue that his arm's too high, he shouldn't be leading like that, I don't agree, but I can't be firm on it and say you're definitely wrong because it's about an opinion. So that one, I think either a red or a yellow possibly would have sufficed. But I wouldn't have gone red card for it. I think it's more of a normal football action. Where he said about, can you factor in the height? You can factor it into the point of, is that action a normal football action? And your height is a part of that, right? So is his hand in a normal place for a 6'4" guy? Yeah. I mean, it's mildly contradicts what we've said before because it's not about intent. It's about what actually happens. You can only judge on what actually happens, right? But that football action is a really important part of it, whereas Jackson's is just not, is it? I don't even know what he's doing. It's the most ridiculous action from Jackson.
Yeah. And to be fair, his reaction to the red said everything. He literally didn't say a word and just strolled off. And it was like, he knew what he'd done.
Oh, I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, he literally just looks at the card, doesn't even have any kind of argument and just wanders off the pitch and it's just like, cool.
He doesn't want to play the last 2 games. Could be asked. He was going
Oh, mate, if they don't get Champions League because of that, it would be brilliant.
Who knows?
They've got a game against Forest, haven't they? Last game of the season.
Yeah, it's going to be the decider. Yeah, it's going to be the absolute decider because Forest messed up this weekend.
It's all right. Forest get 3 points next week.
So before we talk about Forest, because I do want to talk about them, I want to talk about this.
Yeah.
What are your feelings on the whole incident with Trent Alexander yesterday? It was yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty shameful from the Liverpool fans, to be honest. Like the kid's come through the academy. He has literally done everything he's completed football at Liverpool. And what are they trying to say? That he's got to stay forever? Yeah, he said a few things that he's gone against that he said a few years ago. Like I've probably said stuff 6 months ago that doesn't apply to me now. Things change. Like your thought process in life changed. Maybe he wants to go off and get a Spanish wife, and Real Madrid is the best place to do that. Like he's got different priorities to what he had at the time, and he's made a decision to go to the biggest club in the world, which is pretty much a statement of fact that if Real Madrid comes in, if you're any other club in the world, your player is most likely to go, unless you're Barcelona. So I don't see what the big problem is.
Do you think though Liverpool fans looking at it going, actually on paper, right now they probably think they're better than Real Madrid as a team?
Maybe as a team, but Real Madrid's still a bigger club. And if Liverpool wanted, I've heard Liverpool fans saying, well, he's going for a free, he's going for a free. That's on your club. That is on your owners. That is on the people who sort out the transfers. Because if you knew he wasn't signing a contract and you wanted to get money for him, sell him 18 months ago, sell him 12 months ago for a little bit of money rather than getting nothing at all. You can't put it all on Trent because he's the one that wants to leave and try a different avenue in the rest of his career.
Yeah,
Stoppy? Oh no, go on, Chris. I meant Chris.
I was gonna. Surprisingly, I was going to agree with Mitch. I don't get it. Although
He's trying to get on the TFT here tonight. He wants a recommendation.
Genuinely, I'd need a Liverpool fan to explain this to me because I don't understand. And the comment from Ryan there, if it's anyone but Real Madrid or Barcelona, I've got no issue. The only reason why I could understand it is if he's left for another English team, maybe. But if he wants to go and play for PSV or Verona, or so what? Like, he's given you years of service. It didn't cost you anything. He's been brilliant for you.
He's won everything.
So what? Like, he wants to go and do something else. I don't. Why? I genuinely am baffled as to what he's done wrong.
He's actually won more than Gerrard, which I didn't realise until today. So I literally found out because me and someone was talking about it and was like, he's actually won more than Gerrard at the club.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. He like Mitch said, he's completed it. What else more? He's done everything at his boyhood club. He's not going to another English club. And it is Real Madrid. It's not like it's anyone else.
I mean, he could go to Madrid for a few years. I don't know what his agreed contract is. He might have want to come back to Liverpool for a second stint. He'd done that. He went and played a Spain. He might have had an ambition to play abroad all his life.
I wish Gerrard went Chelsea.
Yeah. If he might have wanted to come back for Liverpool, maybe like a little last couple of years, come back home. He'll probably think, nah, fuck them.
I'll go Man United now.
Yeah, all this you never walk alone until they disagree with it.
Yeah.
I find it a bit rich. Like, all right, I'll give Rice. But he went. If it was an English club, fair enough.
Okay, so the question I'm going to ask all for you three. So they obviously booed him yesterday. Okay, that's gone. They're lifting the title in 2 weeks. Are they going to boo him when he lifts up that trophy?
Probably. No, Liverpool fans.
Considering they haven't won, they haven't seen their team ever lift the Premier League trophy in front of their eyes, and that's the first thought. Do you think they're really going to do it?
Yeah, I genuinely think they are. I think they boo him every single time he's involved until he's gone. They're going to boo him. Or what was the point of booing him yesterday?
I'm missing something. I need a Liverpool fan to explain it.
I've actually had Liverpool fans try and explain, and they say, but he said this and he said that. And it's like, yeah, but he said that 2 years ago. Life changes. Like what you want to do in life changes. So just because he hasn't turned around and gone, actually, no, I don't want to. It doesn't mean more winning for Liverpool. And I don't want to captain this club one day.
One scenario in which I could understand them booing him, and Marlon might remember this. When Eriksen wanted to leave Spurs, no problem with what Eriksen had done for Spurs, no problem with wanting to leave. But when he made it obvious that he wanted to leave, he proper jacked it in and put in the most lazy, half-assed performances.
Yeah.
Then I've got a bit of an issue. Yeah. But I don't think he's even done that, right? I mean, he won the game the other week, didn't he? With a late...
Leicester against Leicester, weren't it? Yeah, when he came on.
Yeah.
There was a fan that I was listening to a fan today on TalkSport, and he said, and I thought this was the weirdest scenario to put. He said after the Trent news, after the Van Dijk news and the Salah news, he actually said they should have gone with the Trent news first and then done the other two afterwards. But everyone said, but that sounds like madness because you were in the middle of a title race, and you got to remember what happened with Klopp last year. Klopp come out in January and their title race went completely to crap. They were top, if I believe, if I remember correctly, at the time when Klopp announced it.
I think Trent has sort of led the narrative a bit here because him and the club know that he's leaving. And I think he's had control about the absolute when it comes out because he wouldn't have wanted to come out before they'd sealed the title. because this would have all started happening when they still had to win games
yeah.
to secure the title, which meant he probably would have been involved even less than he actually was, which you don't want as a player. You just want to get it done, and then what happens after it's done
Look,
happens, innit?
I'm always bitter about you know the guy that I should never talk about, but I don't. When, for me, that was a situation where he went to your main rivals. He went on a free, and he had said stuff. Okay, admittedly that when you read the full interviews, you kind of go, actually, you didn't actually say you were staying, but then you hear some of the stuff that's happened since, and it just makes things worse.
Yeah.
I
But then
would say-
that main thing is that he's gone to your main rivals.
yeah.
Like that's completely different to this.
I've challenged you a bit on that, Marlon, over a few weeks, but only because we're still doing it. Like at the time, totally. Like he's gone to Arsenal for Christ's sake. Like I've got no issue with us having a problem with Sol Campbell. I've just got an issue with us having
Don't mention his name.
23 years later and still singing about it. I'm like, oh my god, move on. But
yeah, but it's that loved one that got away, isn't it? It's always going to be.
Yesterday in the game, the Liverpool game, there was one point Arsenal had a little break, and Trent come round, swept up, played it back to the keeper, and everyone clapped. And then they sort of, were we supposed to boo him? So he'd done something good, and they clapped. Like when he had the free kick, they all went, ooh, because it was close-ish. They didn't boo him then. So if he scored...
He did cost them their second goal.
Well, he's never been a defender, has he?
Yeah, that's just Trent doing Trent things.
Yeah.
You couldn't make me. But it would have been quite interesting after they booed him. If that free kick goes in, do they boo him or do they
Exactly.
I just like to see in the last game in stoppage time him just get the ball and turn around and just smash it into his own net. That'd be
yeah. My opinion would change if he'd done that. It'd be one of my favourites. I'd buy a shirt.
And then take his shirt off to reveal a Real Madrid top underneath. That's brilliant.
Rips it like Hulk Hogan.
Well, to be honest, Liverpool fans generally do forgive and forget, and the only person they've never ever forgiven will be Michael Owen. The rest, they've kind of gone. They come back as legends years later. So,
is the Owen thing because he left or because he rocked up at Man United?
Because he rocked up at Manchester United.
I've got a little bit more. Even I'm like, I'll just move on, but I've got a little bit more sympathy for that.
Yeah, agreed as well. Yeah.
Yeah, man, he's not even allowed welcome. He's not welcome back even for Legend games. That's how bad Michael Owen is.
But
and he didn't go direct.
as a team that played a part in some of that stuff, like Liverpool screwed Michael Owen over because he came to Newcastle when the agreement was with Liverpool. He wanted to go back. They couldn't. They had another striker at the time who was going to be first choice. So they told Michael Owen, you need to go somewhere for a year to 18 months and then we'll come back in. And when he approached them after being with us for a season, they turned around and said, no, we don't want you.
That's absolute Poch vibes, that.
Was that Torres? That sounds like when Torres...
I can't remember who the players were at Liverpool at the time, but Owen was only meant to come to us really for a season to 18 months. And then Liverpool were meant to come back in and he was meant to go there for a fee that had pretty much already been agreed. And Liverpool, when Owen mentioned it again, basically turned around and went, nah, deal's off.
I think it's similar to Poch. Some Spurs fans have got big issues with Poch because he went to Chelsea. But he was unemployed and we could have just gone and offered him the job. He would have taken it. He was waiting for the offer.
Yeah.
We chose not to do that. And then he's a working professional, right? Chelsea come. I've got no issue with Poch having gone to Chelsea at all. But some Spurs fans refuse to kind of forgive him for that.
So it was Djibril Cissé and Fowler. It wasn't that the year that Cissé kind of kicked Fowler out of the team as well.
Yeah, I can't remember who else was involved in who the strikers were at Liverpool at the time.
Cissé was scoring goals for them at the time.
Yeah.
So
they just made a decision that Owen wasn't the option because it was clear when he was with us that his legs were gone. He was shot. He could still score goals, but he could barely run.
It's funny because Steven Gerrard was their top goal scorer that season with 10 goals. And he scored 23 in all competitions. They'd have thought Michael Owen was... But then he got injured anyway, Michael Owen, didn't he?
Yeah, he was picking up injuries consistently for us. He couldn't run that much that we played him in a number 10 behind two strikers. That's how little he could run. We had Mark Viduka and Obafemi Martins playing in front of him.
Obafemi, Jesus. That takes me back. All right, next scenario. What we need to talk about. Is it right for any chairman to be going on the pitch and doing exactly what Marinakis did yesterday after the Leicester game? Do you think the pressure is starting to fall on Nottingham Forest and they're starting to crack under pressure? Anyone can answer.
Go on, Mitch. Get it off your chest.
I'm going to go before Mitch because
Yeah,
otherwise I'll just repeat what he says. So,
Yeah.
I
Friends.
don't. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen, but I think it's been massively overblown. Like it was just a moment of frustration. And by the way, I thought Nuno handled it absolutely
Impeccably, yeah. Nuno handled that superb. But can I ask a question on that? Can I just, before we carry on? Why did it look like he was walking past Nuno before Nuno stopped? It looked like Nuno stopped him.
Mm.
So where was he going?
I don't think he was even going for Nuno. I don't think his rage was at Nuno.
From what's that? Well, who was it at? The refs?
I've got no idea, but from the uproar and the interactions, it just looks like they're having a conversation. Yeah, it's not a proper jovial conversation, but they're not arguing.
They're not
You
arguing.
wouldn't call it a heated argument.
Yeah, he doesn't.
They had a little debate, and then
this is the bit that got me because everyone's because the reason why I was so into it was because Nuno and Skip, Tottenham vibes, they were having a little hug, but he looked like he was about to walk past him, and Nuno kind of stops him, and I was like, he doesn't look like he's remonstrating at Nuno. So what has happened?
Nuno said it was though, didn't he? Nuno said
Nuno kind of come out and said it was, but I think Nuno's covering up for something.
I don't know. It was so short, and also it does make sense. I don't know how to say his name,
Awoniyi.
Yeah. So that was what it was about, right? He got injured colliding with a post. He said he was okay. They made their last sub, and then, like he said, he wasn't okay. So they basically played the last few minutes with 10 men. So that was the frustration, apparently.
Yeah.
But I think those sort of things. I mean, that shouldn't happen. But what are you going to do if you want to make a sub and the guy you think's just injured says, "No, I'm fine." What are you going to do? He
blamed the medical staff, didn't he? Because the medical staff and the coaches got their wires crossed on what should have happened.
Well, Awoniyi puts his thumbs up, right? And then 30 seconds later, when he goes to jog, he's not all right. Well, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. But
yeah, the medical team's got to take control there because everybody's doing like thumbs up and stuff like that. They've got mics.
Headsets.
They can speak to each other. Why are people doing hand signals? Talk and say, actually, give us a minute. No, we're going to have to sub him. Like, have a conversation. Don't do hand signals that can be misinterpreted. I've got no problem with this guy coming on the pitch, by the way. And I don't see why Forest fans have, because they've been lauding it at times when he's apparently spat at a referee, when he's done all this other stuff. And Forest fans have taken that as a positive thing. And now stuff's not going right for them.
Right.
They're using it as a negative to have a little dig at him.
Because they were once saying 6 games ago that because they're the easier games, they're going to qualify, and they've screwed up every single one.
And this guy is the reason that they've even been competing. Yeah, he's gambled his own money to take the fine, to take the hit on PSR, to bring in all these players to improve Nottingham Forest. He's just a mad bastard. You're going to have to accept the fact of that. He hasn't come on and got Nuno in their headlock and started beating him up. They've had a 10-second conversation.
I think that's about the limit of what an owner should. I've got no problem with that. He's just showing a bit of frustration and passion. If it had been a proper altercation, that shouldn't be happening on the pitch. Yeah. But that's not a proper altercation. It's just he's just annoyed that they've not beaten Leicester, who almost everybody, apart from Tottenham, beat.
But it's the whole shine off that happened, though. It's the whole shine.
He literally could have just said to Nuno, "Oh man, this is shit. We fucked it."
But and Nuno's gone,
actually, yeah, we have. We fucked it.
They've qualified for they've qualified for Europe next year, guaranteed. This is Nottingham Forest, who nearly got relegated. Yes,
but I get that. But you look at it in the last month, they've dropped 8 points to I think it's Everton, Brentford, and now Leicester, at home.
Yeah, but. There's no easy games.
There is no easy games, but as a Champions League chasing
side, a couple of easy games.
As a Champions League chasing side who has a 10-point gap on the team that are in 6th.
They beat Tottenham, so that's fine.
Yeah. But it's transformative for teams
The
like
the Leicester game, I'll go, okay, fine. The Crystal Palace game, this is a good Crystal Palace side.
Yeah, but I'm not even. That's Crystal Palace away. I'm talking about home games. Brentford, Everton,
Okay, so
Leicester
Brentford,
at home.
Okay, yeah, but you're talking about Brentford, but Brentford are on if I believe they're on an away run at the moment where they've only lost like one in how many?
Yeah, but it's a bottom 8 team at home as a Champions League
but it's
chasing
not
side.
even.
You've got to dispatch these teams as
Yeah,
Champions
but
League chasing
they've had a
sides.
hard fought season, and to say that Brentford was going to be an easy game, there was more for them.
Yeah, but
That's all true, but they go in to be disappointed when they've had such a stellar
Yes.
first 2/3 of the season, beating teams, Liverpool away, and all kinds of teams that they wouldn't expect to beat. They're going to be disappointed when they don't beat the teams they do expect to beat. Naturally.
and all Forest fans will sit back at the end of the season and go, you know what? We've had a fantastic season. We've qualified for Europe. Last season we nearly got relegated. It's been brilliant. But at that point, it's kind of like what could have been has now just crumbled in front of us.
Yeah.
Through nothing else other than their own inability to just grasp the moment. Like nothing outside has happened.
But maybe their tactics is these teams that they're actually playing. These tactics generally won't work all the time because you take Everton. Look at Everton. Them and Everton was the most defensive game you'll ever come across, and it was one lucky goal at the end.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. I totally agree. It's not a sustainable way of winning football matches as a top side. Yeah.
No. So they lost to Villa, which Villa are a good side. They then lost to Everton. They beat Tottenham, of course. They lost the semi-final to Manchester City. Then they lost to Brentford, who were on a away run, and then they drew at Palace. Okay, the only one result I'd say in there that they should have probably won was yesterday. They should have been drawing to Leicester.
It hurts when you get so close to something.
Yeah.
Although I thought you're asking for trouble when it came out last week that the owner had kind of relinquished some of his shares or something, so he didn't breach Champions League rules.
Yeah.
So again, don't do that now, mate. Just wait a couple of weeks.
Just wait. He doesn't need to do that unless Olympiacos suddenly drop as well. They're both in the Europa League, then it's all right.
To get that close though, and to miss out is the kind of disappointment I'm expecting to feel next Wednesday evening.
But don't say that. But beat West Ham at the weekend. They could be back in fifth, as long as Chelsea and Villa. Well, Villa got us, didn't they? So yeah, they're done. Yeah, it's finished.
Haven't Chelsea and Villa both got you and Man United? Don't they both play Friday night?
Yeah.
Yes, Chelsea have got Man United. So yeah, it's finished. They're done for. They got no chance now. Doesn't matter what happens. They need to beat West Ham.
We say that though, but going into this weekend, every single person, like all four of us here, everybody watching, listening, whatever, would have had Man City to beat Southampton and Forest to beat Leicester.
Yeah.
As bankers. So we don't know what's going to happen this weekend because we could, as much as both you and Man United have been rubbish this season, stranger things have happened, man.
Stranger things have happened, but this is Man United and Tottenham.
Yeah, but you've both got double the points of a team like Southampton. You've probably got triple the points of a team like Southampton and double the points of a Leicester.
Yeah, but I'm going to sit there and say, Mitch, I told Spurs fans, after the Southampton game, we're not picking up another set of 3 points in the Premier League. We haven't picked up another set of 3 points in the Premier League since because the Europa League has become so important and because of the injuries that we have. And I know a lot of Spurs fans are complaining about yesterday. However, I look at it and go, you got to remember, this is the manager we all blame for injuries. If he goes and plays Van der Ven yesterday, he's done. And Van der Ven's missed 30 games this year. Romero's missed 20 odd. Yeah. Those two can't play.
Well, the issue I've got is a couple of quick points on the Spurs game yesterday. It's not the team he picked. It's the fact that the team he picked were completely unmotivated. And just because we've got a cup final and the result isn't important doesn't mean that we shouldn't give a shit of the players who play. Because Palace have got a cup final before us, but they were motivated and organised and we were anything but. However, what worries me even more than that, Spurs and Man United very similar. Amorim comes out in interviews and says this is not acceptable the way. It doesn't matter that we're in a final. We've got to be better. Anne's just sort of says, no, it's all right. We can't cope with both, so it's okay. We're crap in the league. And I'm like, well, that tells you that come Friday, there's a chance United.
Villa.
No chance Tottenham will get a
result. Villa are going to win this weekend. I'm worried about what the scoreline might be on Friday, especially with us getting the game moved, because I said it was pointless us moving the game if we're not going to play any of them players that are playing Wednesday. We don't need the rest.
Yeah, but
I honestly
if Man
say-
United's been moved, your game has to be moved. Like you can't go into a European final with one team having a day's less rest and stuff like that. It's just not fair, is it?
I would say yesterday's before. I understand the context of a Europa League final. I think yesterday's performance was the worst home performance in the league I've seen for as long as I can remember.
A lot of people have said
They
that.
were absolutely disgraceful yesterday.
Was it that bad? I've
it was
only
that
seen
bad.
highlights.
We should have
it was
lost
that- it was that
by
bad.
5 or 6 easy.
VAR saved us.
Really? Was it that?
It was that bad.
They had 20. Was it 20 shots or 23 shots?
Yeah.
We had one on target. It
Kings-
was unbelievable.
Kingsky was probably the only player to come out of that game with his head held high, and he didn't make any great saves. It's just that he dealt with a lot of the situations in the box very well. The rest of them, if they never played again, I wouldn't care less.
It was an absolute disgrace.
I saw
Apart from Mikey Moore.
someone really rip into Spence on Twitter, and he's been one of the better ones earlier on in the season.
So Spence's form has completely done a U-turn since Doggy has come back and has been playing the more important games.
Okay.
The theory, Stocky, at the moment amongst a lot of Spurs fans is our kind of second string aren't motivated because they know it doesn't matter what they do. We know who Ange's preferred players are. So, and
to be fair, he did say it in the press conference yesterday.
The Spence theory really is Spence played when he had to play because we had no one else. Played really well, and the second the Doggy was fit, he got dropped again. So
you mentioned that earlier on in the season, Chris. I distinctly remember you saying like, Big Ange was like, "Oh yeah, Spencer's playing really well." He's like, "We only played him because the Doggy's injured."
Yeah, and he only got back in the team.
Did he play it as this was my master plan?
Yeah,
he tried to
dropped him.
And he tried to pull him out of the club in the summer. But anyway, there you go.
Like his form's completely took a nosedive. Whether that's, but he's got to be. Like, I see it as Spence within himself has got to realise that actually next season Ange won't be here. Like no matter if he wins the Europa League or not, just put in these performances because when you get the new manager to come in, they'll go, you know what? I saw what was going on from the outside, but all Spence is doing now is proving that his attitude is all wrong. When he just got through it, but then he's gone right back into where everyone said he'd go into.
I'll offer a maybe slightly controversial opinion on Tottenham, but I think with a reasonable manager that has us organised, even with the squad we've got now, but with a couple of additions, nothing special, I reckon we're back in and around challenging for the top 6. I don't think our squad's that bad, but I just think we've got a manager who sets us up absolutely appallingly, and I don't think the players.
I actually agree on that. Your manager's nowhere near Premier League quality.
I think the two issues we've got is because we don't have for his system he needs a DM. But actually, if he had a better attacking midfielder that could play like Kulusevski and Maddison, so like Maddison's good, but he's missed a chunk of the season. And Kulusevski, literally, great start, terrible end. Does it every season. So we just need that player to come in the middle and just be able to feed Solanke and the rest of our wingers, and we should be okay. But life as a Spurs fan, eh?
It's all about a cup final, mate.
Which I think we can win.
Have you got a ticket for the game, Chris, or are you just going for a party?
No, I've got a ticket, man.
Nice. Lovely stuff.
I tell you what was difficult. I wasn't one of those who gambled on booking travel and accommodation before the semi-final. So after the semi-final, it was gutting that United won because that's another probably 40,000 fans. Or you're competing with travel.
Because you can travel from like Manchester or Newcastle or something if they didn't get there.
We're travelling from London.
As soon as the full-time whistle went in the semi-final, flights were £1,500 return. Accommodation for one night in Bilbao was over £1,000. So you've got to be creative. So I've been creative. I'm getting the boat from Plymouth to Santander on Sunday, which is a lot cheaper, but it does take 20 hours. So I've got a cabin. I'm going to chill, have a sleep on the boat, get to Santander on the Monday. 24 hours at Santander, go to Bilbao.
Walk from Santander to Bilbao. Sleep in a tent.
I've got an apartment, so I got an apartment for 3 nights in Santander for £200.
Oh, nice. Lovely stuff.
So
you're going to have a lovely holiday too.
Yeah.
Exactly. A Tuesday, nothing to do apart from wander around Santander, enjoy a bit of the Mediterranean weather.
It's a shame there's going to be a football match in the middle that's going to fuck it up.
Yeah. I think you guys have learned that my expectations with Tottenham are very low. So, you know.
Gonna be a shit show next week, mate. It's gonna be one hell of a game.
That's a good point, though. I'll be in Santander on Monday.
I saw you then. We'll just
Well,
talk about.
I'll have my laptop, so I'll have to check if the Wi-Fi is working. Maybe I'll join in.
Yeah, tell us how it's all going. Your trip's going so far.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be before the final then, so it'll be fine at that point. It won't be good.
Turns into a travel blog.
But last question: should Arsenal replace Arteta?
Yes,
No. Why?
because for me, I feel they've plateaued and they're coming back down the other side.
Do you think so?
I don't think he's got any more improvement left in him. I think he's shown every single aspect of himself as a manager, and he hasn't quite got it done.
Do you think if they get a striker though, like a proper striker, they might be able to compete?
No. Even their first signing of the summer, this Zubamendi has said to me that he's not the guy. Arsenal control football games very, very, very well with the ball. And they've gone out and they've bought another player that helps them control the football game very, very, very well with the ball. That is not what they need. It's telling me he's not the guy, and I don't believe he's the guy.
Probably just replace Partey, I would have thought.
Yeah, but you need a different profile. They've got like 4 or 5 of the same profile. And even when Partey's not there, they're like, well, we lose because Partey's not here.
And
Zubamendi's not Partey, though.
And they need more than Zubamendi, but if Partey leaves, then you need a replacement.
Yeah, but for me, with Partey, is that he's the reason why it's allowed Rice to become that number 8. But with Zubamendi coming in, Rice is going to have to go back to being a 6.
Yeah.
He's been so much better when he's so much better when he's been the 8 for Arsenal.
Are we allowed to call him Partey, or do we have to call him an unnamed player in his 30s?
We're not allowed to say anything.
Isn't it funny that on TV it's just skated over?
Yeah. Not allowed to say anything.
What can you say? Yeah, you just
can't say anything,
don't you?
Yeah. But they're not allowed to say nothing about Tonali and all that until something officially happens.
Yeah. So does everybody else go the other way on Arteta? Do they feel that he's the guy that could potentially move them forward?
I'm looking at. For me, I think they should give him one more season. Right? If the reason why I'm saying give him one more season, I don't think Liverpool are going to be the same Liverpool next year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Manchester City are going to suddenly become this top side that everyone's expecting them to be. I think they're still they still need a little bit more, especially now that Kevin De Bruyne is going. So the title for me is really up for grabs. And between I don't want to say it, but between Newcastle, Arsenal, and probably some outsider, there's potentially an opening next year. And unless there's a manager that's going to unless it was an Ancelotti coming in, Arteta might shithouse his way to a Premier League title next year.
If we do the business that I'm hearing the noises we're going to do.
Yeah, but it's the injuries for you lot.
Yeah, no, I think that negates the injuries thing once we've got more rotation. This isn't me. I'm not going to win this on we're going to win the league. If we get the signings that I'm hearing we're going to get, we finish above Arsenal next season if they still have Arteta, regardless of who they sign.
Stocky, because you said mid-table for West Ham, so
the Arteta thing's weird.
It is a weird one.
I agree with Mitch with he's better. I don't think they'll sack him because they'll probably say there's not a surefire alternative that's going to guarantee them the next step. But I do think he's actually regressing. They've regressed.
Yeah, when you look at the points, if he finishes 3rd or 4th, then
I think the record points deficit between 1st and 2nd in a season is 19, and it's currently 18. And we're still being fed that they've improved.
Yeah, so it's only 15 at the moment. It's not going to get to.
Is it not? Oh, fair enough. I thought it was a bit more than that. But on the flip side, I think Arsenal overachieved on the Champions League.
Yeah,
I think they overachieved getting to a semi-final. So that.
Well, this is so.
I don't like him personally.
This goes back to the whole. Everyone talks about the Europa League being weak, but I thought the Champions League was quite weak this year. Like when you got for Villa, for how well Villa did, I'm sorry, a few years back they wouldn't have been doing. I don't think they would have done this well and been able to rotate as much as they did.
I think the new format accounts for that a little bit, though.
Yeah, we said that. We said things.
I think
Also, Villa's a bit different. Villa Park had a very different vibe. If they'd been in it a couple of years, it wouldn't have been rocking like it was.
Yeah,
I think
I
in
think
small
the
instances
Champions
that-
League this year has been as strong, especially with the way Real Madrid got torn to pieces. I don't think it's been as strong as people are making it out to be. I think the two best teams probably got to the final, and then Paris Saint-Germain had to knock out all the English sides.
Yeah, but I feel that Madrid are in that weird trying to build something with the Galacticos. I know they've got all the players, but they need to find a way that makes all of them players work together. They haven't found that yet.
But I don't think the Champions League has been as strong as people are making it out to be. Like it was Bayern Munich's first season under Company, so Company was still finding his feet.
Yeah.
Inter Milan, Barcelona, Paris Saint-Germain have probably been, well, actually, to be fair, it was Barcelona and Inter Milan were probably the two best sides. Paris only picked it up late, because you've got to remember, they were terrible. They didn't even win
they
their
were in the
first four games.
playoffs. I think they finished 15 out of 16 and still qualified through. So they really, Enrique found his thing, but I'll put out more credit. Enrique.
Yeah, so they only found their feet when they started to play basically the English teams, and they just had a system that works. It'd be interesting what they do when they come up against.
But again, that's another new side, isn't it? So you've got to allow for a few months for everything to click. And since it clicked in like November, PSG have been flying.
Yeah, but it's not.
Kvaratskhelia signed January as well.
Yeah, signed January. I think that's been the key. But I don't think like everyone's so. Look, the Europa League used to be the second-rate competition. The Champions League was meant to be of champions. But the fact is that the English sides are going to have 6 teams in it next year.
Yeah, this is This is the thing. They need to revert and just call it the European
Cup because
I'm done with this Champions League nonsense. Like it's not a Champions League anymore. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, because Arsenal won't be in there.
The one thing that annoys me, I agree, but the one thing that annoys me a bit about that is the narrative in the last week or two has been around how ridiculous it is that United and Spurs might.
Yeah, it's been an absolute.
But that annoys me because no one's ever really said that before. Yeah. And I think if this was Villa or Palace, it would be, what a fairy tale.
Yeah.
But the fact that we're getting away from the Champions League isn't because a team who's actually won a competition's getting into it. It's because we're allowing 5th place in the league into it. That's what makes it ridiculous. Not like at least the Europa League winners, if it's us or anyone else, at least they've actually won something.
Yeah, it's a bonkers scenario, but it makes sense that you put the champions of the Europa League into the Champions League.
Yeah, because Frankfurt, I think it was Frankfurt, Villarreal, and Seville. Atalanta finished 5th last year, so they qualified for the Champions League. They would have qualified through the league route because Italy had 5 places. But in other years, they wouldn't have qualified. But the other 3 finished 11th, 12th, and 7th.
Yeah.
In their leagues that year, they won the Europa League and still qualified for the Champions League.
I genuinely don't even think it's about 16th and 17th because I 100% think if it was next season, say it's Forest, I think everybody loves the fact that Forest might finish 17th and get into the Champions League because they win the Europa League. It'd be well done for it because I'm not coming up with a vindictive strategy because I hate the kind of everybody's against Spurs, man. That's absolute nonsense.
It's Spurs and Manchester United in this one breath.
It's because we're just 2 big clubs who have been in the Champions League quite a bit and people find it a bit, these clubs have been there and seen it already and now they're shit, they still might get in.
I think it's because it's actually 2 teams as well. Like if it was one team that was 16th against a team from Italy that were 5th in their league, I don't think there'd be that much uproar. I think it's because it's 15th and 16th.
Yeah, but should we be asking questions of Frankfurt and Bilbao, who are both going to be playing Champions League next season?
Yeah, you should.
And they're not beating the 16th and 17th teams in the Premier League. Come on.
The fact is, Tottenham and United have showed up when they've had to in the Europa League. Fact.
Yeah.
There's no other fact behind it. That's just all it is. They've turned up when they've had to in the Europa League. Done.
I thought it was a cheap Arsene Wenger coming out of anything when he hasn't won anything in Europe. What do you know, mate?
Question for you guys, while we're kind of on the subject. Would you not prefer it if, say, they turned around and said, right, England's going to have 4 teams in the Champions League. The league winners go in, the FA Cup winners go in, the League Cup winners go in, and then there's a playoff little tournament at the end of the season for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, like the playoffs you get in the Championship for the extra spot. So everybody actually has to win something to get into the Champions League.
I don't disagree, but I'll tell you why that will never happen. Why it will never happen for the FA Cup, simply because the Premier League, all the qualifications are through the Premier League's competitions. So the Premier League and the FA are different bodies, right? So that is the Premier League giving prestige to a competition that's not their competition. And unfortunately, although it's in the interest of the game, I think, to do what you said, there's too much parochial stuff goes on at that level that the Premier League are never going to hand something like that to the FA. It's just not going to happen.
Fair point. Very fair point.
But yeah, interesting. The whole thing.
By the way, on Wenger, just one other point. He's trying to push this. Maybe it's a topic for another day, but he's trying to push this. I hate calling this, but this daylight offside thing, which is absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
Mate, it doesn't solve any problems. It just moves where you find the problem.
Yeah.
I will put in, if I haven't already, I'll put in the group chat a picture of the kind of goal that would be allowed to stand. And it's absolutely...
You did. I think you did after I posted the article from Twitter a couple of weeks back or last week, whatever it was.
So all that would happen is you can't have a defensive line. So all you'd have to do to the defenders is say, you're going to have to drop back 10 yards to deal with this. And then you're going to get less goals, not more, because people are just going to go ultra defensive. But it's just silly. I mean, he wanted kick-ins. I don't know if you remember that, but genuinely, he said, "Let's get rid of throw-ins. We'll have kick-ins." And I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, it's just trying to find weird ways to reinvent something, innit?
So do you not remember the year that what do you call it, when they changed the ruling? Hold on, back on.
Yeah.
Am I still here?
Yeah. We still got you.
Oh, he's frozen now.
Hold on.
Oh, yeah, you're back, mate. You're back.
Back on the internet. So, do you guys remember there used to be a thing where in extra time or golden goal, the goals counted for 2 or something back in about the 90s?
No.
There were 2 different things. There was golden goal, which is you score, you win, right?
Yeah.
There was also silver goal, which is you score, you carry on playing until the first half is up.
Time. Yeah.
And then if someone's winning, then it's over.
So, do you know, I'm going to read it now. There was this thread, and I didn't know this happened. So, in 94, right, so there was a group of 3 teams. And to qualify, you had to finish top. And the last game was between Grenada and Barbados. Okay, and Grenada had 3 points, Puerto Rico had 3 points, and Barbados had 0. Okay. So
is this the one where they both end up trying to score own goals?
Yeah. So what happened was the team that was winning realised they couldn't go through on a 1-0 win, because what happened was if it went to golden goal, it counted as 2, and they needed 2 goals. So both teams ended up in the 90th minute scoring in their own net, and trying not to win the game in normal time because it meant both of them would go out. But they needed to go to extra time to get the 2 goals, and so they only had to score 1. And they found a loophole in the system. Absolutely crazy. Apparently it's on YouTube somewhere. But Barbados versus Grenada, I think is.
I've got to have a look into that because I don't remember anything I don't remember it being anything in extra time being 2 goals.
I think the ruling was only for that competition. It was
that competition.
They hadn't thought it through, and that was the consequence.
They're mad Caribbeans.
Yeah, but the fact they went on full outside the box and went, extra time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the game
don't let them man create their own laws, man. All hell's gonna break loose.
But yeah, the game ended up finishing 2-2, and I think it ended up finishing basically 3-2 to Barbados. They won it 3-2, which meant they won 4-2, which meant they advanced into the next stage because they needed 2 goals.
Right.
Yeah.
Which team did they knock out? Peru.
Grenada and who was the other team? Puerto Rico.
Oh, Puerto Rico, yeah.
I think it's a good
Grenada
example.
And Barbados ganging up on Puerto Rico makes sense, to be honest.
I brought it up because you just spoke about Wenger and this daylight offside, and it's the madness that sometimes they come out with and don't think about logical.
It's a good example of, and we have conversations where something's happened that frustrates people, and we say, why don't we change the law like that? And it's a reaction to what you've just seen, but you've got to think about all the other scenarios it affects as well. And sometimes you make what seems a common sense change. It's not dissimilar to the the handball stuff with the goal, who the assister, we had that for a period, didn't we? If the guy who assists handles it, and then we had the scenario with the Tottenham Sheffield United one where it's blasted against Lucas and it rebounds to someone else who puts it in the net. Ridiculous, but that's why I defend a little bit the lawmakers. It's really hard to put into black and white a law that copes with every possible scenario that the game can throw up. Very difficult.
I
And
quite
that's
like that one from Lord Rodney Trotter, though, to be fair.
yeah.
If there's going to be an adaptation, that's probably one of the better suggestions I've heard.
For this one, or
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily against that. But
It's one of the better suggestions I've heard on it compared to some of the other stuff.
I suppose you get the situation where someone's, let's say a cross comes in and someone goes for a diving header and then it's just flicked by the guy next to him. So he's kind of horizontal at the time when the flick is made. And then you're going, well, he's going to head it, but we're going to judge it by his feet, who are 6 foot further in the other direction. So almost everything is going to have some weird quirk that is going to happen in a game somewhere that makes it look silly.
Yeah, the comment before the one you flashed up was the key one that kind of explains his reasoning behind it. I like that. I like the reasoning behind why they've said it, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I do understand that. But I also think there are times where we're trying to over-engineer things. I get that people aren't maybe the biggest fan of the offside law, but actually I think it works reasonably well. If you have faith that the technology tells you that whether they are offside or not, that's a separate discussion. But if you accept that, then I think we just get to the point where we go, well, yeah, offside is offside. And if it's a millimetre, that's unfortunate, but that's just the way the rule is. There's no way of changing the offside law to stop that line being there somewhere. You've got to draw it somewhere.
Somewhere, yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I ever used to say was when they actually used to draw the lines, the daylight, they should have had, the lines shouldn't have, if the lines didn't overlap, you're offside. But if the lines were sort of on top of each other, not. But then again, you come up with the same kind of things. You're still a millimetre offside if it's a millimetre on one side or not.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the way it has been the last couple of years. But what you don't see now, if it's really close, and so obviously we've gone on to semi-automated, but before we had the last couple of years, if it was really close and they overlapped, they didn't draw both lines. I think they just drew one line. I can't remember exactly, but there is a level of tolerance that we had. Again, inconsistencies, because we've only just brought semi-automated in the last 3 or 4 weeks, right? Before that, even this season, in the Premier League, because it was being drawn on, we had this level of tolerance, which didn't exist in the European games that they were using semi-automated.
Yeah.
So in the semi-automated, I think we saw an offside really recent. I can't remember. I think maybe even at the weekend, Mateta maybe, but I think there was another one in the Premier League that was just like a millimetre.
Wasn't Eze was tiny amount against City.
Yeah, so it might have been that one. But this is the consequence now. That tolerance has now gone because we've stopped using the old system. And now we are saying with semi-automated, a millimetre is a millimetre. There's no tolerance at all.
Yeah.
Either you're going to back the technology or you're not at the end of the day, right? You can't have it both ways and say we need technology and then start criticising technology. So.
Well, we're just going to have to back it because technology is going to keep getting stronger and stronger and stronger. All it's going to do is delay it. It's not going to stop it. So,
and one topic for another week, maybe over the summer, just that whole VAR thing, because I think what happens now, I think we're in a better place. I genuinely do. But I think people who get frustrated look at something that maybe where it's not gone well and go, let's just scrap it. But when you do that, I think you're forgetting all of the outrageous things that have happened over the last 4 or 5 years that VAR has correctly fixed. That if we go back, we introduce back into the game. That I don't think we have too many now that are absolutely scandalous. And you go, how the hell did that stand? I genuinely think we're in a bad.
Well, did you not watch the Orient game?
Yeah.
Did you not watch the Orient game in the weekend, Chris?
I did. I mean, I can mention that. I do think that's really poor. They should have been able to communicate between them to get. I understand how they've perhaps not seen the flick on, but the assistant should tell the referee, this guy's in an offside position. I don't know if he's flicked it on, and the referee should be the one that goes, well, he definitely has flicked it on. And between the two of you, you've got enough information that you get the right decision.
Yeah.
So how they failed that assistant referee. I mean, yeah. If he's not sure, I mean, they've got the headsets, so you don't know what they're saying to each other. It actually reminds me, I allowed a goal similar to that in a cup final myself. And I spoke to the assistant. We didn't have headsets or anything. spoke to the assistant about it and said, well, I didn't know he was offside. And I said, well, was he in an offside position? He's like, oh, yeah, he's in an offside position. I wasn't sure he played it. And I'm like, well, you should have put your flag up. Like, back then, I didn't have the way of checking with him. So back then, any assistant, that's the communication to say, this guy's in an offside position. It's me as the ref then who makes the decision. Does he need to be penalised? As an assistant, we used to have this little phrase, you're there to assist, not insist. You stick the flag up, it's just advice to the ref. You don't have to take that advice as the referee. But yeah, that was one of my finest moments.
I'm taking that into my next assistant referee and performance stocks, that little line.
Yeah. I'll be there to get the video footage.
Make sure.
I mean, he struggled to lift his head up to check. He was struggling. He was very disappointed when he was up and down with that flag, mainly because he could probably hear us all giggling at him.
You know what? You know who I'd really like to hear from now? It's Charlie Austin. VAR is all his fault. It's all on him. On that note, what's everyone got coming up for the week?
Well, my week's just back here on Wednesday. Wednesday evening.
Are you regular on Rivals now? I think we've got too many Newcastle fans on it now, if I'm being
mate,
honest.
I'm going to be there every week until Ash changes the link and doesn't tell me about it, mate.
You won't change it, it would have to be me.
That is it. And outside of that, me and Stocker will be back Sunday on Where the Owls Sleep.
I might have to start getting you lot to put it on here. Do a takeover and start doing it on here over the summer if you're going to keep going.
We've still got some shows lined up.
Okay.
We have still got some shows lined up, so yeah.
We'll talk about it. All right. So no TFT for you coming up soon either?
No, that was a last minute jump, but if the guys are watching, I'm about.
You know what? I've got the details for thing. What's his name? I'll message him.
Mate, I've learned that sometimes you just have to be shameless in life or you get nowhere. So,
can we just big up? Yeah, that's the one. Big up to Danny. Absolutely, I think he's absolutely spot on there.
Do you know why it is slaughtered? And I've said this for weeks. The only reason why people slaughter it is because they're expecting it to be 100%.
Yeah.
Or there's a lot of old men still in the game that don't like the fact that technology's taken over because they can't use their phone properly.
Yes, Destiny, that isn't you. Where's he gone? VAR makes me sick. Destiny, it wasn't me. I will protect you. You're not an old man. You're loved by Spurs Kings TV.
I'm a bit worried for Destiny because his comment there about if I don't cut my toenails 1 week, I'm offside. I mean, are you not playing in boots, Destiny?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Have you got 2 different size boots for when you don't cut your toenails?
Beach football,
half size up, yeah?
That crusty nails pushed me offside.
Yeah, but yeah, like Dan said, the errors, like, I think Simon Jordan pointed this out. I think it's like 98% it gets actually correct.
Yeah,
I think the timing is always the issue.
I don't want to agree with anything that Simon Jordan says. I'm sorry.
You've also got to remember that a lot of the criticism is through the lens of fans who perhaps don't know the laws that well and are just seeing things the way they want to see them for their team, which is entirely understandable. But a lot of the criticism is not actually based in what the laws say, right?
Yeah. All the laws that they're referencing are old.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
They change quite regularly.
And we saw this weekend the Forest fans go mental over a Leicester goal, right? Because Luke Thomas's foot was in the field. It's a perfectly legal throw. It's just one of those things.
Hold on. I forgot.
Did you have that?
I have that. Why didn't I? Hold on. You lot keep talking. Let me bring it up. Because I actually had it.
I mean, I've already given the answer, right? It's what I think it comes from, because when you're young and maybe coaches who don't know the laws brilliantly just say, have your feet behind the line, right? That's what almost every kid is taught. But the laws don't say that. The laws say that just your feet have to touch the line. And if your feet are inside the field, but they're still, your heels are touching the line, it's absolutely perfectly legal. Now, I'd say probably most fans don't understand that. So you've seen on the internet, fans going, oh, where's VAR? I mean, VAR can't intervene on a restart anyway, but they're going mental, going, where's VAR? The ref's got it wrong. It's an embarrassment. Well, maybe it's your knowledge of the law that's the embarrassment.
I can't believe I forgot.
He's done very not.
I had it all.
He's
perfectly.
gone, Marlon, you got to extra effort with your graphics and everything.
Yeah, I had it all. And when you just spoke about it, I completely forgot I'd done it all earlier. It was the first thing I did today. It was this one because this was the only one I had before I
That
did
is
the
an
rest.
excellent netball shot at the bottom of this graphic, by the way.
The key is the third one down there where you can see his 1 foot inside the field of play, but his heel is on the line. Perfectly legal. Nothing wrong with it.
See, I don't do things half-hearted, you know. When I go out all out, I go all out. And when because it was you that said this one, and I said, and it was the first one I had, and it's all there. It was all ready to go. I just forgot about it when I was loading it.
I do remember, this isn't the greatest referee story in the world, but I do remember one game where this happened in a game and I let it go. And there was a player that went so mental at me, like just non-stop, just going at me, foul throw. So I just walked him over to the side, did this, put my feet on and said, do you think that's a foul throw? And he's like, yeah, it's a foul throw. And I just said, well, it's not. You've learned something. There's your yellow card. Off you pop.
So there you go. Everyone watching this, you have been educated by Spurs Kings TV on a Monday about the throw-ins.
Every day's a school day.
Every day's a school day. So no TFT. Well, you might go back on TFT. I reckon they'll invite you back on there with the Newcastle fans anyway. Especially some of the stuff you caused yesterday. It was actually quite funny.
Do you know what? Yeah, there were so many people that went before me that all of the stuff I wanted to say about Newcastle was gone. So
Yeah.
the only thing I had left was Maresca, and that wasn't me just making stuff up. I didn't want to dig at Maresca because I'm a Newcastle fan. I wanted to be positive about Newcastle, but it all been said. So I had to go with the only thing I had left was the fact that I thought Maresca got it wrong, and even though he got it better in the second half, he still got it wrong by bringing Madueke off. And they just all went. Everybody just seemed to disagree, and I was like, "Well, I think you've watched a different game." But
Hold on. What's his name agreed with you though, didn't he? Steve.
yes, Strasbourg Steve, the other Newcastle fan. Yeah,
No, you're another Newcastle fan. Yeah, Strasbourg Steve. He's fun,
He's a good lad. His knowledge on Stocky, you'd love a conversation with him. His knowledge on players is a joke.
He's a joke. Absolute joke.
A joke. You can chuck a player name at him and he'll list off games that he's watched and all things.
He watches a lot of football.
Yeah, Strasbourg Stevie is. I'm going to try and get him on with us for the Newcastle transfer show.
Oh, okay.
Interesting character. I just come back on this one, Marlon. Where Destiny says, "Am I a ref?" If it helps, no, I'm not. I used to be, and it was for a few years. I did it full time. Actually, I was like a referee coach, effectively.
I see the reason why it's so bad now.
I'm not.
They're still trying to get over how bad you were. Some
of my boys, mate. Some of them are on the playoff games. There's one that I very strongly think will make the Premier League as a ref. But
nice.
We will see what happens. But yeah, if it helps Destiny, I'm not anymore. I don't know. I'm like a sinner that's repented, if you like. I don't do it anymore.
Stocky, where are you at for the week?
Mate, I'm not as media versed as Mitch, so I'll just be on the Owls on Sunday.
And where are you Monday?
I'll be here.
You better be.
I'll be here, going through all these wonderful VAR decisions.
We'll probably won't get as many next week. We'll probably be talking about Spurs, Man United.
Yeah, it could be. It could be like a therapy session, couldn't it?
Yeah. Hopefully, Chris makes it back to us from this dodgy boat he's getting over to watch the game. So
we'll see how many decisions we get and see where we go from there. Chris, now that you're adverse with Tottenham away, I'm losing you too.
I'm not on Tottenham. I am actually on the Spurs down list tomorrow. But yeah, I've no planned appearances on Tottenham away, but you never know.
See, Spurs Kings TV, it goes, we are Tottenham TV, then Spurs King TV gets you on the rest.
It'll be a long time before I get on last word on Spurs or anything like that. But I'll have to tap up Lubo for some advice on how to make it big time.
Mate, Lubo is funny. Lubo is like...
he's a good guy.
Good guy. It was quite funny because him and Jim were on yesterday and I was expecting a bit more frosty, but actually I think for Jim, when he come out and said that it was probably the worst game that he's been to, he deep down knows that he doesn't think Ange's going to survive, but he's just not jumping on that bandwagon yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, apart from that, that's my only thing tomorrow. And then
You're on Danilist tomorrow, all right. So
on
check Danilist.
Sunday I am off on the. Oh my! It's a long journey, mate. I live in Milton Keynes. So I get in the train from Milton Keynes at 9 a.m. and I get into Santander effectively at 1 p.m. on the Monday. So that's going to be fun.
Nice. Hey, safe journeys.
Hey, and he says he doesn't love Ange, but yeah, he's doing this all for Ange. Yeah.
I definitely am not doing it for Ange.
What else are you going for? You must think we're going to win. You must think he's good enough. You must think he's a good enough manager to win the game if you're going all that way.
I'm going because it's like emotionally blackmailing myself. I can't live with the idea that I choose not to go and then we win. I'll be like, oh, for Christ's sake! Like I could. So you know, that's
I was
it.
debating. I've been debating whether to go or not, and I've just gone no. So I'm going to be doing We Are Tottenham TV that night with Ash. We're going to be doing the watch along for the final, which is going to be there'll be rival fans coming in to check that one that night. Especially,
are you doing it like this, or have you got a studio?
No, at the studio. We'll be at the studio.
Sick.
So it's going to be really, really interesting.
In fact, I'm going to tune in on that one. I'm not even.
Chris, if you see Danny K there, because he'll definitely be there.
Yeah, he just asked me if I got a ticket to the final. I have, Danny. I'm sure you must be in some group I'm in, so I'll dig your number out and send you a message in a bit.
Otherwise, you can get it off me.
Marlon's the link, mate. He knows everybody.
To be honest, now I've been added into some of these YouTube chats lately, and they've just got like lot of Spurs people in, so basically got most people's numbers these days.
Again, who gave you the platform?
Absolutely.
I had you on every week.
I'll always be
thankful.
I was just about to say, I'll always be thankful to Harry Scarf.
So yeah, what have I got this week? So I've got tomorrow, obviously with Ash, the big show. That's the main one that everyone coming in for. So everyone in the comments, Ash is back tomorrow. Who you want? Wednesday, I am not doing anything. Or I might be on George's tomorrow as well. I think I've got 2 shows tomorrow. George as well. I'll be on with him. Thursday, I'm having a night off, and then Friday, I'm back doing my last word on Spurs for the season.
I was about to say, what, you're retiring? That sounds like you're hanging up the mic.
I might have to be a producer these days.
When you said last ever, I thought maybe you'd like put up your rates or something, and they just refused to pay you.
Yeah, I did, because they've had me go through this season's just been an absolute nightmare. He has put me on a lot, but it is what it is. But you know what? To be fair, with Last Word on Spurs, I find it as a therapy session more than anything else. And I've noticed that a lot more people who have been our side have started to listen to it a lot more now as well.
Oh yeah, it's changed massively in the last 12 months or so in terms of, and that's where I will defend like Ricky. I think he got a lot of criticism previously for never criticising, but I think the point he makes is right, which is Last Word on Spurs really doesn't kind of have a position. It just gives the platform for people to put their opinion across. And if at the time those people weren't anti-Ange or anti-Levy, then...
And that's what, and a lot of these guys, especially these normal guys, obviously they've become a lot more busy with their working lives, and the way he's changed it up and made sure that the right people are on it, I give him credit where credit's due, because he's changed it completely from where it was, last season or the season before. That's not saying because I was added, big Ed.
Yeah.
But no,
it's gone downhill this season, honestly.
But that Leicester game, when we lost to Leicester, that'll be the one episode, and I was remember being on, and I said it was the biggest turning point for Last Word on Spurs this season, because it was the game that we ripped into everybody. The club, fans, all of us just got it.
I think, look, I don't know Ricky at all, but I think I would say I give him some credit that there was clearly a moment, I don't know if it was then or whatever, but there was clearly a moment where he lost faith. And when he did, though, he didn't hold back in his view, right? He did put he was, for a long time, a lot longer than me, kind of very neutral on the owners and everything. But when he got to his point of view, he's willing to just say, we've got to change. And he's been on all Sky Sports, everything, saying that, right? And fair play to him, man.
I remember the date happened because I was streaming them all, and I was streaming with the regulars. and all of a sudden, it was when Lloris released his book.
Yeah.
It was around that time, and I literally, because I think Lee was on there, Ricky was on there, and I want to say, I think it was Jason.
Yeah.
It was all three of them, and I can't remember what game it was, but I was on there, as you know, the little new boy into the group. And we got onto Lloris, like the whole show was calm, relaxed, and then it got onto Lloris's book, and them three just went in. They went in on the club, and I was like, whoa. And that was the day, I think that was the episode where everyone went, oh, now we know what Ricky's position is. And then it just went from there. But
yeah, absolutely. Fair play to him.
fair play to him. He's like, and that's not because I'm on it. that helps. But just seeing the way it's all changed, like I do agree with you. You now see his opinion clearly. He's gone on Sky Sports. He's gone on Talk Sport. He's actually said it. Where you get others that are still sitting on the fence with it a little bit, and it's kind of like, and Ricky's not saying.
You're going to get a reaction the other way now. So we got to the point where we're having quite a few people at the protests and more, but it's always linked the kind of, what's the word? The passion levels, that's a rubbish word, of the protests are always linked to how we're doing, right? So because we've got to the Europa League final, now you are seeing a bit of pushback of people like, what do you expect? And you shouldn't be against the owners. We've got to a final. For me, I'm not going to change it. It doesn't matter.
No.
You need owners that want to win on the field, and these guys don't. Even if we do, it's not.
Look, if we win the Europa League, and I was asked the question last week, and I said I can't answer it yet because I've been very I don't want Levy here anyway, even if we win the UEFA Cup or not. Absolutely. However, this summer, if we were to win the Europa League, ENIC have a chance this summer to show where they're really at. It's a big summer for them, and they will either show it or they won't.
Yeah.
And that
I'm very confident in which of those two options will happen.
Of course, so am I. But it's a big change. But just quickly on the protest, it was quite funny. So boys, listen to this. So a lot of people said there was meant to be they were meant not to come back for half time, after half time. And a lot of Spurs fans said, okay, no, we can't do that. We've just got to Europa League final. We need to support the team. Okay, those were the exact words. So the change for Spurs changed it and went, okay, we won't do the halftime bit because there was a lot of pushback on it. Did you not see after we conceded the second goal after halftime? Most people walked out.
Oh.
So all those people that said support the team said, okay, no, we're 2-0 down and walked out. And it's clear on TV. You can clearly see what happened.
2 down off to 10.
And it's like, you said not to do it because you need to support the boys. And as soon as we went 2-0 down, you kind of walked out. It doesn't look good. But
I have quite strong views on it. I actually think the moment we're doing well or we do something is the time to do your protest even more, to say, look, this is not about how we do on the pitch. It's not about that. It's about the ambition of the board. I would argue the day of the final is not a day for it.
No.
Aside from that, we need to separate the two things. We're protesting against the owners.
So what happens?
We're still going to support the team.
Would you say? What about? If we were to win, would you have done it against Brighton?
That's a tricky one because I imagine they're going to incorporate some sort of celebration.
They're not going to do it. Yeah, they're not going to do it. Like I'm just saying, change for Spurs are not going to, because they've already had their last one of the season. But would you have done it against Brighton?
If we had a different mentality of a fan base, I'd like to think before the kickoff we could still protest against the owners, then go and celebrate that we've won a trophy. But Tottenham do not have that fan base at all. So I guess the answer is yes. I'd like to see. I wouldn't do it in the stadium or anything. I'd like to see us protest against the owners. But I know if they do that, there's going to be 3 men and a dog there.
Okay, so 2 questions to you two before we go. I know we've completely gone sideward. If Mike Ashley would have won trophies, would you lot still wanted him out?
Yes.
Stocky. I don't even know what to ask with West Ham because I hate your owners. I think they're useless. But
the question for West Ham is surely, do you still want your owners out? They've won a trophy.
Yeah. To be honest, it's one of them weird things. Everyone was so vocal about it. The greatest thing Moyes ever done was stop a lot of fans complaining about the board because we kept winning. and there were some of us that stuck with it, and like Moyes done well despite what was dealt with. And Chris is absolutely right. If you win a cup, if you win the Europa League, despite all of the silliness with Levy, the board, etc., I think it's the perfect time to say, look what we could do if you actually gear towards this club. We've done this despite of you, not because of you, and it would be, whilst giving the team the props for winning it, it would be the perfect time to make your point, because you really would have that platform to really push it home.
Problem is, arrogance is a dangerous thing, and Daniel Levy's an arrogant man.
Oh yeah.
I think it gets him off the hook massively, though. In a lot, not in my eyes, but in a lot of fans' eyes, it will get him off the hook if we win something this season.
Yeah, he'll get off the hook massively. But
like
I want to win it. I'm not one of them to say I don't want to win it because I know I still hate Daniel Levy, like being the owner. Well, not being the owner, being the chairman of this club. I think he's not made for this to be a chairman of a football club. However, if he goes and wins it, it is what it is.
But that's proper fan stuff. Any Tottenham fan that turns around and says to me that they don't want to win it to make sure they get rid of Ange and try and get rid of Levy, I will then disregard their opinion on any footballing matter going forward, because that is not how you support a club whatsoever. Regardless of anything else, if you've got a chance to win a cup, go and win the damn cup and support the team to win the damn cup.
That's fine, mate. I don't like Enoch, but they're not going to leave anyway. I hate Ange with a passion, like the most manager in the Premier League. I don't think I've hated a manager as much as this. But if you said to me now, winning the trophy next week means that we keep him, I mean, I think he'd get sacked by November anyway. But I'd have to take it. How can I not take winning a competition? That's
with my big Ange Start scarf. I'd take it. But I would. I seriously would. I don't care what's happened this season. The fact we're in a final, I'll take winning.
I think it's no indicator that we're going to be any better next season. I think we've seen a lot of evidence that says we are going to stink the league out next season with Ange, no matter what happens. Beating Bodo Glimt, Frankfurt was all right, AZ Alkmaar, that is not evidence that we're suddenly going to transform for next season. So Ange out 100%.
Be a Man United side, though.
I tell you what I won't do on Wednesday, if we do win a week on Wednesday, I won't be singing Ange's name. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, man, let him have it, man. Come on.
Unless it's in the "We want Ange out," then I'd.
He's promised something. He win in his second season. He delivered.
Yeah, he promised me a title challenge.
It's going to be Robbie Williams all night long if you win, Chris.
Yeah. I'm loving.
Well, Marlon's got connections. You'll be pissed up at the final. You'll get a video.
There'll be videos from all angles.
No, if we win, I hope everyone goes to the stadium afterwards. Though I know that they'd shown the screens, but I hope more people go and visit. It'd be a great lot if we win.
After the game on Wednesday, is that what you said?
Oh. Late night, man. Late night street party in Tottenham.
Oh yeah, you will see. I promise you, when we do, if we win, when we do a trophy parade, you'll be amazed at how many people will turn out. Spurs is a massive club, but we're I think
everyone will be quite shocked to how many people will actually get. Because it ain't gonna happen again for another 40 years.
And that's why I'm spending silly-ish money to go, because we haven't been there we haven't been in this final for 41 years. If I project another 41 years further, that makes me 86 or dead. One of the two.
Yeah. So, I think for this one, because obviously the Champions League we were against Liverpool. We'd lost to them twice. No, was it twice in the season? It was kind of our backs were up against it. Harry Kane wasn't fully fit, and we knew it. There was a lot of things going against us. But with this, it was kind of it's Manchester United at probably their worst time ever. We actually have a chance.
That just makes it even funnier for the whole of football when Spurs still fail to win. But
they're not going to.
Have you not heard of the Spursy phrase?
Yeah, but we're in it. This will be the most Spursy thing to ever do, to go and win the bloody.
No. Wait. You
can't say the most Spursy and then win in the same.
Yeah, this is. I've had this discussion a couple of times over the last week. Like the Spursy thing is when you've basically got something won near enough there,
and still don't win it,
and you still you've got the winning lottery ticket and it blows out your hand and you've lost it. That's Spursy. Like it's not going and winning anything.
Yeah, but we've wanted a trophy for so long.
Yeah, but that's
And
not what
it's gonna
Spursy
come-
means. You
Yeah,
can't
but it is.
reinvent the word.
No, but you can, because the most Spursy thing is we've had the worst season ever, and we're probably going to win the biggest trophy that we've ever won since we've been in.
Yeah, but that's not Spursy, mate. I'm telling
It
you.
is because
No,
all the seasons that we could have won.
That is literally the direct opposite of what Spursy
Nah,
means.
this is
Yeah, it is. Right.
typical Spurs, man. This is typical Spursy moment.
Snatching,
But
snatching,
to be
snatching
fair,
a loss from the jaws of victory.
the League Cup. When we won the League Cup, we finished 10th, and when we won the League Cup before that, we finished 11th. I think. I don't quote me on that, but. And now the next trophy we might genuinely win in the Premier League, and we're going to finish 17th or 16th.
It would be funny that the only trophies we've won in the Premier League era would be under George Graham, One-Day
Ramos,
and Postecoglou,
Postecoglou.
like
Three
three
worst managers we've had.
Wow.
To be fair, George Graham just was awful football.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely the best of those three, but he was never going to fit.
And he sold David Ginola. So
The man, see, you won't say Sol Campbell's name, but you'll say, I thought George Graham was the man in the raincoat, right?
no, say George Graham.
That's what the Spurs fans used to sing. We never sang his name. They always used to sing "Man in the Raincoat's Blue and White Army."
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He was Arsenal through and through, wasn't he?
He had the Arsenal crest in his patio, didn't he?
I heard about that. Yeah. What are he doing now?
I mean, he must be getting on a bit, but yeah. But yeah, our favourite Premier League managers, the ones we think fondly of, probably Harry, Poch. Who am I missing? Harry, Poch, Martin Yol. Yeah, we never won anything under the ones we like.
Well, that's why we were going to win something with Jose.
Harry's got to be in your group as well, though, in his stocks.
Till he went to Spurs.
No, it's not even that. It's a different one with Harry. So, sort of, say generally people my age would say, "Oh, it's great football." They think of Di Canio, but he stabbed Billy Bonds in the back to get his job because Billy Bonds was a manager before. So, to the older lot, he's just snide.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, leave Harry alone. We love Harry. He's a what do you call an English sweetheart, and he'd be loving Chris's dog right now.
Yeah.
She wants a moment of fame.
Mate, she's going to get more likes than any of us ever will.
Yeah.
I'm going to clip it. Just clip this part.
Yeah.
She's also going for a dog sitter for a week next week, but she doesn't know that yet.
She does now. Look, she looks at the camera like, please don't send me there. On that note, boys, after I said about 10 minutes ago, we'll wrap it up there. One more show left. But yeah, season's nearly done. Good luck in Bilbao, Chris. Good luck on the TFT, miss you.
Yeah.
And Stocky, you finally put us 17th. It's taken you a while.
Yeah. Well, it's all right. I'm sure you'll suffer if you win. Safe journeys to everyone going to Bilbao and enjoy.
Cheers, man.
Drink the place dry.
Come on, you Spurs.
Nice one, everybody.
See you guys.